You know that phrase, mature for your age? It's almost always a compliment, isn't it? A sign you're strong, responsible, that you've got it together. But what if that maturity wasn't really a choice? What if it was just a quiet adaptation, a survival skill you learned before you even understood what you were surviving? Today, we're getting to the psychology of what happens when a childhood ends way too soon. So let me just start with a question. When someone casually asks, "So what was your childhood like?" What happens? Do you find yourself just freezing for a second, searching for the right answer? It's such a common, quiet little reaction for so many people.
And here's the thing. That hesitation, it's not always because your childhood was some huge, dramatic tragedy. A lot of the time, it's something quieter. It's the feeling that there's a gap. Like there are a bunch of missing chapters in a story that was supposed to be yours. It's like your childhood got fast-forwarded and nobody asked you first. Okay, so let's first look at what this actually looks like from the outside. We're going to talk about the persona of the mature child, the kid who always seems to have it all together, and how that so-called strength is often just a really, really good disguise for a survival instinct that's working overtime.
There's actually a clinical term for this. It's called parentification. It's what happens when a kid has to become the caregiver, right? The peacemaker, the emotional manager for the whole family. But that word parentification, it just doesn't quite capture the sheer weight of it, does it? The feeling of being so small, but having to hold up something so much bigger than you are. Whether that was comforting a parent or just learning how to read a room to keep the peace.
And the wild thing is, the world praises you for it. You hear these words all the time. You're so strong, so responsible, and they become a part of who you think you are. People admire your independence, your composure, but what they don't see, what they can't see, is that these aren't just personality traits. They were necessities, forged in moments where you had to be strong because, well, there just wasn't another option.
But here's the catch. All that strength, that early maturity, it comes with a hidden cost, a pretty steep one. It's a price tag you don't even realize you're going to be paying for decades.
And this right here, this is probably one of the most important things to get. There's a huge difference between true maturity and what we're talking about here. See, real maturity grows out of safety, out of trust and support. What we're describing is a highly intelligent survival adaptation. It is not the same thing. It's a skill set you develop to manage chaos. And that leads us to this huge, kind of heartbreaking paradox. The very things that saved you back then, being hyper-aware, hyper-responsible, fiercely independent, those same coping mechanisms, they become a cage in adulthood, a prison you don't even realize you built yourself. And you have to understand, this wasn't just about learning one little lesson. No, this was about building an entire internal operating system, an OS where crisis mode and hypervigilance became the default settings. And the thing is, that old software, it is still running in the background right now. Now, this isn't just in your head, this gets wired right into your body, into your nervous system. When chaos is what you know, your body learns to accept it as the baseline. So, as an adult, stillness can feel wrong. A moment of peace can feel deeply suspicious, like you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. So how does all this old stuff, how does it actually show up today in your adult life? Because these aren't just memories we're talking about. They are active echoes, shaping your relationships, your work, and how you feel about yourself every single day. Just listen to these for a second and see if any of them hit a little too close to home. That fierce independence to the point where you just can't accept help. The guilt that floods in the second you try to rest. That constant, deep need to control your surroundings. The pattern of attracting partners who need fixing. Or feeling strangely numb during happy moments. And of course, apologizing just for having needs. And man, does this ever mess with relationships. Because for a nervous system that was trained in chaos, a partner who's emotionally unavailable can actually feel familiar. It can feel like home. A dynamic where you have to work for love, where you have to give and give, that can feel safer and more predictable than steady, consistent love. And we have to talk about the exhaustion. I'm not talking about regular tired. I'm talking about that bone-deep tiredness that a full night's sleep just doesn't touch. That isn't a character flaw. It is the physical, biological result of a nervous system that has been on high alert for decades. Your body literally never learned how to truly stand down. This also creates a really weird relationship with success. You can achieve amazing things, but it never quite feels like enough, does it? There's always that push for more. And that's because somewhere way back when, your sense of self-worth got completely tangled up with your usefulness, with what you could do for other people. Okay, so that's a lot. What on earth are you supposed to do with all of this? Well, the way forward starts in a place that might feel a little strange. It's not about jumping in to fix yourself. It's about learning how to witness a loss. And look, that is a totally fair question, because this wasn't one big, clear-cut event. It was maybe 1,000 tiny moments of having to be too much and somehow not enough, all at once. It is so easy to downplay it, to tell yourself, oh, it wasn't that bad. But healing asks you to stop doing that.
So the very first step is just to witness your own past, to simply acknowledge what happened, without adding that, but it wasn't that bad at the end. And step 2, it's to grieve what was lost, to actually mourn the childhood you deserved but didn't get, to mourn for that version of you who deserved to be carefree and messy and totally irresponsible and still be loved.
And I really want to be clear about this. The goal here isn't to erase the past or to become some totally new person. Healing is about integration. It's about remembering who you were before you had to build all that armor, and slowly, gently, letting that person come home. And that brings us to the final and, honestly, the most hopeful part of this whole journey. It's about learning to rest. It's about rewriting your entire internal script from one of just surviving to one of actually truly living. I want you to think about it like this. Deep down, your body never got the memo that the storm is over. So the healing process, it's really about teaching your nervous system, ever so gently, that it's finally safe. Safe enough to rest, safe enough to receive, safe enough to just be.
So here's a new set of permissions, a new set of rules that directly contradict that old survival programming. You are allowed to rest, even when the to-do list is a mile long. You are allowed to be a total beginner at being taken care of. You are allowed to fall apart sometimes. You are allowed to receive a gift without earning it first. You are allowed to stop being the emotional manager for everyone in the room. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to be imperfect.
You know that child inside you, the one who had to step up and be the adult? They were so strong and so brave, and they did an incredible job keeping you safe, but they can rest now. They don't have to run the whole show anymore. It's finally safe to let the adult take over.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. You've been holding on, holding everything together so tightly for so long. What do you think it would feel like, even just for a moment, to finally let go?